Here we are once again. Welcome to the Hockenheim circuit for round 5 of the Ferrari Challenge. Up next, then, we have the TropheoPirelli drivers about to do battle on this 4.5 kilometre circuit. As we see coming into a grid there, being beckoned on. One of our onboard cameras there, you can see the calendar. So we're into the sort of final third of the season, really, with Hockenheim as part of the Ferrari Racing Days this weekend. Imola still to come, and then the World Final weekend at Mugello. All the information at www.corsaclienti.ferrari.com. Find out all the information about the challenge, the championship, the drivers, the personalities, and everything that makes up this fantastic series for Ferrari 458s that's about to play out here at the Hockenheim circuit. This part of the European Ferrari Challenge season, which has seen so much race action. And we've had the Copa Shell drivers out on track already, and what a race that was. And if the TropheoPirelli is anything like that, will be absolutely awesome. They're the sectors you can see then on this 4.5 kilometre circuit here at Hockenheim. Some high cloud around, but still feeling quite muggy and humid. Temperature, I suspect, 23, 24, perhaps 22. And there the backdrop of the paddock. And there is the cloud. And, well, I was a little way out. Air temperature 21 degrees. Track temperature, though, is 25. So, conditions okay for our racing drivers in this, the TropheoPirelli category of the Ferrari Challenge. So what a backdrop that is. The huge Corsa Clienti building there, which houses the offices for the organisation, and the paddock there, with all the trucks neatly lined up, and a big crowd of people enjoying the Ferrari Racing Days weekend. So we look from the back of the grid then at the Andreas Ott car there, and well, that'll be the Dario Calzo machine. Dario Calzo then, who is, well, at one point was leading the points, is down in P3 in the points now. Rearward facing camera from Sergei Chukhanov looking at the Daniel Mancinelli car. Sergei Chukhanov taking an 8th place, effectively an 8th place penalty for previous success, which sees him back there on row 5 of the grid. That's not where he would like to be at all. But all these drivers are penalised for their success in terms of mixing up the order, and from an entertainment perspective, it's proved to be very, very worthwhile. There we're on board with the Hublot safety car looking back at the grid. And there is car number 62 of Peter Mann, the French driver that's joining us as the Ferrari Racing Days brochure gets read in full by a 430 Scuderia fan there. Just awaiting the green flag, as they are. So there is Renato D'Amato. P2 on the grid for Renato. And there is our pole sitter, Dario Calzo. Now, Dario, I noticed this earlier when we were chatting to him as he walked through the paddock. He's either had the overalls have either had a jolly good wash, or it's a brand new set for this weekend. And I favour the fact I think it's a brand new set. There's Robert Pergel. Robert Pergel at one point did very well in qualifying. The Scuderia Prague driver. Just being passed a note by Nico Spalak alongside me. My producer Jacques Strata missing from the grid at the moment and is at the end of the pit lane. And, well, it should have been P5 on the grid for Giacomo Strata. Alessandro Vezzoni then. P3 on the grid for Alessandro Vezzoni. And there is Daniel Mancinelli. Expecting good things from Daniel Mancinelli. row 3 of the grid for Daniel. A 1:44.064 then his time earlier. A bit of a wave from him as he focuses on the race ahead. And there you can see that big gap now right in the centre of your screen. What you could do as to where Giacomo Strata should be there. A 4.58 size gap there, isn't there? So Giacomo Strata starting from the back of the grid. Philippe Barron, the Octane 126 driver. Missed the Portimao round, but is back here now. And now some highlights from the Ferrari Racing Days, day 1. So some nice little shots there of some of the Formula One Clienti activity here, and it was nice to see Marc Genet, who very much involved in that.
Hi, I'm Daniel Mancinelli. We are at Hockenheim. We are going to see my lap. We are in the main straight now. We arrive at the end of the straight at in 6th gear. Then we shift down till 4th gear. We go the apex point very well and go the exit 4th gear. Then 5th gear, 6th gear. We arrive for the parabolica. We brake about 100 meters and we shift down until 3rd gear. Then in the exit for the long straight, we do 3rd and 4th gear. And we stay on the parabolica curve near the curb, and we use all the gears here, and we arrive at 267 k's. Then we arrive, we brake at 170, 2nd gear near the curb, go on gas very soon and go on the curb. Then we go to this long straight at the back of the track. We do this long corner in 5th gear, we just release the gas. Then we arrive here, we brake, we do in the 3rd gear. Then we shift up to the 4th gear, do the S on the curb, then go on the curb in the exit. Then we arrive to Mobile 1 curve, shift down from 5th to 4, we use all the track on the curb. We arrive in the Sachs curve from 5th gear to 3rd gear. We stay very near to the curb, the exit, go on gas, 4th gear. Then the S near on the curb. Then for the last corner, we stay very near, very close to the curb, and we go on gas for the exit. We are in 4th gear, and we are again in the main straight.
So thanks very much to Daniel Mancinelli then for giving us a high-speed look around the Hockenheim circuit. Just 30 seconds then away from the start of what is going to be the first of the TropheoPirelli races across the weekend here at Hockenheim. So race 1, TropheoPirelli then about to get underway, and That Giacomo Strata-sized gap then in the third row of the grid. You can see there right in the center of your screen. Let's go on board with the Hublot safety car then as it leads the cars away on their formation lap. Dario Carso, pole position. Alongside him then, Renato D'Amato. The D'Amato pairing, currently fifth in the TropheoPirelli points. Sergei Chukhanov we're on board with. A lot of work for Sergei Chukhanov to do in this race, but more than capable of doing it. Philippe Barron, we can see weaving from side to side in the white and red. There it is, 458. That's run by the Octane 126 team. Here's the grid in full for you then. Pole position then, the CDP driver, Dario Carso. Alongside is Renato D'Amato then in P2. Then it's Vassoni P3. Robert Pergel, the Scuderia Prague driver, is P4 on the grid. Let's look at row 3 and row 4 with Giacomo Strata missing. He'll be starting from the pit lane. Then it's Daniel Mancinelli. Diaf then is P7 with Philippe Barron then P8. Sergei Chukhanov then P9 and Alex Martin P10 with Rafael Giannoni P11. And alongside Giannoni then is Gallica, and then it's Peter Mann and Andreas Ott. And there is Giacomo Strata then, who will be starting from the pit lane. On board with Giacomo Strata, the Forza driver. So whatever problem Giacomo Strata has had, it couldn't be solved in time for them to put the car on the grid. And he starts from the pit lane. That, of course, plays into the hands a little bit of Sergei Chukhanov, because it's one less car that he's got to try and get past in his quest to maintain his position at the top of the points chart. Going into this race, Sergei Chukhanov has 107 points, then it's Daniel Mancinelli on 85, then Dario Carso on 83. Dario Carso having put the car on pole position here. We'll be looking to bank as many points as possible. Remarkably, from the back of the grid in the Algarve at the last round of the Ferrari Challenge, where all his qualifying times were expunged, he still managed to achieve 2 P4s. So Dario Carso really on a mission this season. So into the Stadion complex here at the Hockenheim circuit, around the Sachs curve. They will go, then the safety car will peel off, and it will be down to the front row of Dario Carso and Renato D'Amato to pace the cars around. Barron, Chukhanov and Martin in P8, 9 and 10. Certainly going to be in a hurry from the start. And the start is just a few seconds away as the safety car peels off. The Hublot safety car peels off. Carso and D'Amato it is that's going to lead the cars away. The lights are up on caption in the screen. And we go green, and we are away and racing. Philippe Barron makes a tremendous start. Look at this, diving from his position in the grid. Chukhanov less good, but Philippe Barron on a mission. There's Giacomo Strata starting from the pit lane. Daniel Mancinelli making a move now, and look at this from Philippe Barron. He's up into P2. Remarkable driving from Philippe Barron. Bear in mind, he started down there on the 4th row of the grid. We've not even completed half a lap and is in P2. And hounding Dario Carso now. Daniel Mancinelli, a man on the move as well. So Carso having to defend. So it's Carzo, then it's Baron, then it is D'Amato. But Baron, what a remarkable start. P8 on the grid is P2 and now challenging for P1. Carzo shuts the door. This, the opening lap of the race for the TropheoPirelli drivers in the Ferrari Challenge. Carzo makes a little bit of a mistake there. Thankfully didn't get punished as they go into the Sud curve now to complete what will be lap 1 of the TropheoPirelli Ferrari Challenge here at Hockenheim. Dario Carzo leads from Philippe Baron. Then it's D'Amato, then it's Svezzoni, then it's Mancinelli. Chukhanov up to P6, then it's Pergel P7. But we stay with this action because Baron will use the new tyres that he has on board and the fact that they're relatively young, just 1 lap old. Try and use everything he can to get past Dario Carzo in the early stages of this race. That is the time to do it. And look at him, absolutely all over the back of the Carzo car. They are absolutely side by side. No, they're not. He's passed. And he went past Dario Carzo during the braking for that turn. Well, we thought he'd had a remarkable start, maybe a little bit too remarkable, because we're being informed by race control that the start is under investigation, particularly for Philippe Baron. Did he jump the start? Well, we certainly didn't see him jump the start, but he did make a lot of headway. Here's him getting past Dario Carzo in replay, under braking for the hairpin. So Dario Carzo now is relegated to P2 on the track. Philippe Baron is P1. And there is a confirmation then on your screen of the information that we've had, that car number 91 is under investigation for the start. So infinitely quicker at the moment than Dario Carzo, that is for sure. Already he has built up 0.8 of a second. Here is the start then. And you know what? I'm not sure I can see that did anything wrong there, unless he had passed a car before the greens came on. I'd like to see that again, really. So Baron now sets the fastest lap, a 1:45.724. And interestingly, picked up by Nico alongside me, the right side of Baron's hood or bonnet is flapping ever so slightly. Here's Giacomo Strata, who's retiring that car. Whatever the problem was that prevented them getting on the grid and him having to start from the pit lane has not been solved. As with the door open, I would suggest that he's retiring that car. Chukhanov is on the move. Chukhanov has got past Vezzoni, I think that was. There's Alex Martin in the black Dextra car. There is Dario Carzo. So Mancinelli then I think is up, sorry, Chukhanov I think is up to, well that's why. That's why, because Vezzoni went off wide there. That let Mancinelli through, also let Chukhanov through. So there is Mancinelli, who's now pressuring D'Amato for P3. So Daniel Mancinelli then, former Porsche racer and Formula 3 racer. A mistake from Vezzoni and Mancinelli. Absolutely down the inside now of D'Amato and goes through. So Mancinelli, another one that's on an utter mission here, and Sergei Chukhanov is trying to go the long way around D'Amato, and he's made that stick also. So Mancinelli and Chukhanov both moving up and relegating D'Amato. So Mancinelli podium position at the moment. Chukhanov P4. There's Dario Carzo out on his own at the moment, a bit in P2, but he's soon going to be caught by these two, I would think. Mancinelli and Chukhanov, and a whole rack of cars behind there. Robert Pergel kicking up a lot of dust there in his all-black Scuderia Prague car. So the Team Ukraine colours there in blue and yellow of Sergei Chukhanov. The battle for third. 3/10 between them, and around goes Vezzoni. Alessandro Vezzoni has gone round. There appeared to be a little bit of damage to the back end of that car. Now, just see it rubbing there at the back. There's Alex Martin in the points at the moment, and there, damage to the front of Pergel's car. So Pergel and Vezzoni clearly having a little bit of a coming together there. Didn't see that on screen, but our powers of deduction have worked that one out. So Barron leading by 2.4 seconds. And there we can see, thanks to our director doing a great job giving us that replay, so we can see exactly how the damage occurred to those cars and how they went round. There's Sergei Chukhanov then. Daniel Mancinelli is banging in some good laps and is just increasing his margin over Sergei Chukhanov ever so marginally. It's up to 6/10 now. So up the road, 2.5 seconds in the lead is Philip Barron. Great advantage over Dario Carzo. Carzo is untroubled in P2 at the moment. Still waiting to hear from race control what or if the results of that investigation into Philip Barron's starts will be. It's not beyond the realms of possibility he could get a drive-through penalty if they deemed him to have jumped the start, which of course would elevate Carzo into the lead and this man, Mancinelli, into P2, but that hasn't happened yet and don't want to prejudice that at all. So, glowing brake discs of Alessandro Vezzoni's car. So into the Sud curve goes Daniel Mancinelli and Sergei Chukhanov. And that looked like car number 91 box. Now, whether they know something that we don't. So the Octane 126 team that runs Philippe Barron. And, well, as we predicted, Philippe Barron gets a drive-through penalty for a jump start. So that will elevate Dario Carzo into the lead. There is Carzo, who, whilst P2 on the track at the moment, is actually going to be the race leader, because our race leader, Philippe Barron, is getting a drive-through penalty. Also, the Vezzoni car and Robert Pergel car are both under investigation for that coming together we saw earlier on. So, drive-through penalty for Philippe Barron. There he is. He's got to take that drive-through within 3 laps of being notified of the drive-through penalty. Dario Carzo then, well, going to go back into P1. Just wonder where Barron's going to filter back out. Don't think he'll be in a points-paying position, but we'll see. Chukhanov, meantime, trying to turn the wick up a bit on Mancinelli. There's the replay of the Pergel and Vezzoni incident, which is being investigated. Well, Philippe Barron stays out and sets a 1:45.053, which is the fastest lap on lap 6. Now, he is entitled to stay out there until the 3rd lap of him having been notified of his drive-through penalty. And there you can see the damage to the back of the Vetsoni car that we mentioned just a while ago. So Barron leads on track, but won't be leading because he's got a drive-through penalty to serve. Dario Carzo is P2, but in actual fact he's going to end up leading the race. So there is the very heavily damaged front end of Robert Purgel, battling for 5th position with Renata D'Amato. There is D'Amato in the all-red machine, then Robert Purgel in the menacing-looking black car. Bear in mind, he is under investigation at the moment from our team of race officials here, who've already dished out a drive-through penalty to our on-track race leader, Philippe Barron, for jumping the start. So Barron going to stay out as long as he can to make use of the free track ahead. He's got no track ahead of him, and he's going to try and get as much gap on Dario Carzo as he possibly can, because that means he's quickest and he's going to filter back in. And now Robert Purgel being given a drive-through penalty as well. So Barron stays out once again. With that free track in front of him, no traffic means he is able to bang in fast laps like the 1:45.053 that he did on lap 6 just a lap or so ago, which means that, you know, it's going to be advantageous to him in terms of coming back out, because he's going to come back out into traffic unquestionably. So too is this man, Robert Purgel. He's got to take a drive-through penalty as well. Now, by my reckoning, I think this is the last time Philippe Barron can be out there before he comes in for his drive-through. So we will see. In the meantime, Robert Purgel continues, but he's only just been notified of his drive-through, so Giacomo Strata has retired his car number 21, sadly. That happened much earlier on. And Sergei Chukhanov now as close to Daniel Mancinelli as he has been. About 4/10, I suppose, the gap between them. Yep, 4.55 last time around between Mancinelli and Chukhanov. Just approaching half distance. Philippe Barron still being scrolled at the top as the leader of this race. Well, effectively he is, but I would think at the end of this lap he is going to have to dive in to the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty. And from our elevated position in the main tribune here at Hockenheim, we can see that Barron has come in. So now our race leader is Dario Carzo. That means the two that you're seeing in the middle of your screen become P2 and P3. So Carzo leads from Mancinelli and Chukhanov. Now, where will Barron filter back out? There is Chukhanov. So Sergei Chukhanov then, flashing his lights furiously. But that isn't making him any quicker. Daniel Mancinelli doing good laps, 1:46.122 last time round for Daniel Mancinelli. Marginally quicker than Chukhanov, but as long as he is marginally quicker, it's keeping Chukhanov at bay. Now, are the two of them beginning to reel in Dario Carzo a little bit? Dario Carzo, the race leader now. You can see that gap is coming down. There is Daniel Mancinelli then. And Sergei Chukhanov. Mancinelli took P2 and a win at Portimao last round. So comes here on a bit of a high. And remarkably, despite the drive-through penalty, Philippe Barron has filtered out in P4. Which means that, you know, he's free track advantage that he had with no traffic, and he was able to bang in those very, very fast laps. Played to his advantage. So overall he is 8.5 seconds behind the leader and 5.9 seconds behind Chukhanov in P3. And what have we got? 13.5 minutes left in this race. It would take a Herculean effort for Barron to try and find himself in a podium position, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Particularly if Mancinelli and Chukhanov get a bit aggressive when they're either defending or attacking their positions on track. We'll see. That will play out over the next 13 minutes, but it was a remarkable effort by Philippe Barron to have pushed on so hard and to have made so much headway that he's able to filter in front of D'Amato. And some way in front of D'Amato as well, some 1.5 seconds in front of him, so he's not going to be troubled by him, that's for sure. So Philippe Barron will be driving outside of himself right now as he tries to catch that man, our P3 driver. And interestingly, Philippe Barron has just done a very fast Sector 1, a very fast Sector 2. This could be another very, very quick lap from Philippe Barron as he, his quest to end up on the podium is going to be, at the moment, he is P4. Interesting to see what Sector 3 delivers, what the lap is overall. He's going to start across the start-finish line just about now. A 1:45.672. Well, that's some 6/10 slower than his fastest lap on lap 6, but of course the tyres have had a bit of wear since then. So Mancinelli then P2. Here's our race leader, Dario Carso. Dario lapping 1:46, late 1:46s. Last lap around, he was a clear 7/10 slower than Daniel Mancinelli. So Mancinelli obviously closing that gap a bit. The gap the last time around was 1.258. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Mancinelli is going to catch Carso over the remaining 11.5 minutes or so of this race. But look at them, the three together there. Carso leads from Mancinelli, and Chukhanov is P3. Then it is Philippe Barron, Renato D'Amato. Car number 73 is driven by Daniel Diaz, who's P6. Alex Martin, P7. Then it's Raffaele Giannoni and Alessandro Vezzoni. Robert Purgel, P10 after his drive-through penalty. Then it's Gallagher, Mann, Ott, and Strata, of course, has been our retirement. Well, I say Purgel is P10 after his drive-through penalty. I didn't actually see Purgel take his drive-through penalty, but I'm assuming he did. Bit of damage on the Alex Martin car there. There, the Ellie Dextra car. And here a replay of D'Amato running very, very wide. So, Carso, Mancinelli, Chukhanov and Barron. The 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's the battle that we were seeing there was between Diaz and Martin. Well, Martin not quite on Diaz yet. Some 7/10 behind him. Just under 10 minutes remaining in this TropheoPirelli race. Race being led by Dario Carso, one of the most fantastic characters in the paddock, and a supremely entertaining racing driver to watch as well. Serious bit of understeer on the red car, and then serious bit of oversteer on the Alex Martin car. So Alex Martin has got Giannone behind him. And we can see as we pick up what's happening around the Sud curve, whereas you're watching Alessandro Vezzoni at the moment. But I can tell you that from my window, you can see just how close together Carzo, Mancinelli and Chukhanov are now. Oh, and that car going around of Diaf. And that was all on its own. Daniel Diaf then spinning that car around. We'll run in a replay of that, I'm sure, for you. But meantime, let's get back to this battle where Dario Carzo now has got his rearview mirror full of the green front end of Daniel Mancinelli's car, and Sergei Chukhanov is in the mix as well. And Barron took a full 1.5 seconds out of Carzo last lap. He's just 4.3 seconds down now with 8 minutes of this race left to run. Well, 7.5. Whoa, it's going to be a real fraught fight to the finish. I can feel it coming on. Now, if we stay with a shot there, you can see Barron now is in shot. Now, bear in mind that he served a drive-through penalty. Mancinelli now right in the mix there, trying to wrestle the lead away from Dario Carzo. And Sergei Chukhanov will play a waiting game as well, because whilst those two battle, he hopefully will take advantage. But of course, as those three jostle for places, it really is playing into the hands of Philippe Barron, who is able to get ever closer to them. And Mancinelli, oh, he had to use opposite lock then to control that. Carzo shut the door, but Carzo runs wide, Mancinelli goes through, and Sergei Chukhanov goes through as well. And Chukhanov now is really going to pressure Mancinelli. So Mancinelli, Chukhanov, Carzo now relegated to P3. Here comes Mancinelli, there is Chukhanov, Carzo, and Barron is in there too now. Philippe Barron absolutely driving like a demon in that Octane 126 car, heavy braking through the hairpin they go. Barron runs really wide, carrying so much speed there. Is he going to be able to end up on the podium, having served a drive-through penalty? 5 and a bit minutes remain in this race, and it ain't over yet. Mancinelli leads from Sergei Chukhanov, then it's Dario Carzo, P3, Philippe Barron, P4. And that was when Mancinelli really had to brake to avoid running into the back end of Carzo's car. And there we can see from on board Dario Carzo. Oh! There's damage to Chukhanov's car. How did that happen? We didn't see it. Real damage to Sergei Chukhanov. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that incident. But the Team Ukraine driver, Sergei Chukhanov, is out of the race effectively, limping the car back into the pit lane. And there we can see the back end of how it happened. And there, looking on from the Team Ukraine pit perch. And the engineer says, no way, that's all over. Well, now, Philippe Barron, I did say this race ain't over. Philippe Barron is at a podium position. Not only that, he's in very nearly P2, but too much speed there, couldn't hold on to it. So he has to go past Carzo all over again. And he really is just pushing so hard is pushing beyond the adhesion limits of his tyres by some measure. Now, Philippe Barron needs to bank the points rather than put it in the bank. The whole car in the barriers ain't going to do him any good. And this was the really close move with Dario Carzo. Dario kept his cool there and kept his foot in and managed to hold it together. And there you can see, well, Philippe Barron virtually drifting that car off the back of the Sachs curve. Through the Sud curve they go now. And this is where Philippe Barron will probably go for an overtake once again on Dario Carzo, who's got something flapping on the bottom of his car. You can see it there. Whatever it is, it's not hampering him or slowing him. Would still love to see what happened to Sergei Chukhanov and how that incident was caused. Now, we've not got anything on our screen to say anyone is under investigation, whether there was any, well, there must have been contact, unless he just hit the barrier on his own, but don't know. There is Dario Carzo. You can see from my window through the Sud curve, looks like we've got a retiring Robert Purgel. That car is very, very slow. Purgel was down there in P10. I think his race is over. Carzo at the moment with 2 minutes left to run is holding on to his P2 place. But Barron is not letting him get too far away. Is it Purgel that's rolling into the pit lane with a problem? Carzo got to consider, of course, his overall championship position with Chukhanov out. He's got to bank all the points and not get too greedy. And Philippe Barron, well, discretion may be the better part of valor for Dario Carzo. It might pay him if he's going to end up putting it in the wall. He's better off letting him go through, as there's a little bit of a touch there. Carzo goes wide, puts on the opposite lock to control the drift, and Philippe Barron goes through. It's undoubtedly just a little love tap there, wasn't there, to just unsettle Dario, and he goes through. We're on board with Dario Carzo now. And Philippe Barron, we can see from the camera in the cockpit of Dario Carzo's car, is oh so ragged. And here comes the little nudge there. It was just enough to unsettle Dario, who there has to control the slide. Now Philippe, of course, already has been the focus of the steward's attention. He's served a drive-through penalty for a jump start, but is up into P2, and it is the last lap. So Daniel Mancinelli leads from Philippe Barron and Dario Carzo. Sergei Chukhanov is out. So too is Robert Purgel, out. Well, the race then that we thought would go all the way to the flag in terms of incident and action certainly hasn't failed to deliver. There is Mancinelli. Just around the Sachs curve now. Remarkably, I can see from my window the car that I thought had retired much earlier in the race, Giacomo Strata, is back out again. He's had a full service oil change and everything else in the pits in the time that he was in there. But no mistake in the winner. After a real charged drive from this young man, Daniel Mancinelli heads for the checkered flag and takes the win. Having served a drive-through penalty just 3.7 seconds behind Mancinelli, Philippe Barron takes second place. Dario Carzo banks a third. It'll be a while before Renato D'Amato, I think, is going to take P4. There he is. A P5 for Alex Martin. There's Martin and Giannoni taking P6. So the TropheoPirelli race from start to finish then. Lots happening. Mancinelli, Barron, Carso, D'Amato, Martin, Giannoni, Bezzoni, Diath. Peter Mann then takes P10. And, well, remarkably, Giacomo Strata, you can see there, who I thought his race was well over, it had been in the pit lane for so long, comes around and actually get a classified P14, isn't he? Which, following the retirement of Pergel and Chukhanov, and I'd still love to see what happened to Sergei Chukhanov. But we're on board with Dario Carzo then, who I suspect will be a little bit disappointed with that. But he's probably done the most sensible thing and just banked the points. So Daniel Mancinelli then in the green car takes the win. And, well, remarkable effort from Philippe Barron to take P2. And I said, just as he'd served his drive-through penalty, that a podium was within his sights. Did we think he could get as far up as the second step of the podium? I'm not sure, but he did. Undoubtedly a supremely talented driver. They're the Octane 126 team. Just wonder what Dario Carzo will think about Philip's little nudge into that turn. So Dario climbs out of the car. Going over to see Philip. And congratulating him on his P2. To be fair, Dario is a realist, and Dario's had a few nudges and nerfs in his career in the challenge, but there is our winner, Daniel Mancinelli, who did a fantastic job. So there we can see another shot of Daniel Mancinelli then. They'll all be heading up to the podium momentarily. And Dario Carzo congratulates him as well. And I think I've ever seen Dario without a smile on his face. Elongated conversation with one of the race organisers in Portugal, bemoaning the fact that all his qualifying laps had gone, and he was still smiling. So then the TropheoPirelli race saw Giacomo Strada having to start from the pit lane, and when the lights went green, what an incredible start from Philippe Barron. And Philippe Barron soon challenging for the lead and getting the lead away from Dario Carzo. We're on board with him, seeing that overtake work, outbraked into the hairpin. The box sign meant that Barron jumped the start and was getting a drive-through penalty. Bezzoni and Pergel are coming together. The damage clearly seen on Robert Pergel's car. Sergei Chukhanov was driving like an utter demon, trying to get on terms with Daniel Mancinelli. Dario Carzo returned to the lead, with Philippe Barron having to take a drive-through penalty, but that lead was lost to Mancinelli, and Sergei Chukhanov going through at the same time. Sergei Chukhanov then ended up in the gravel with damage to his car. His race was done and dusted, and that meant Dario Carzo with some heavy defending against Philippe Barron. Daniel Mancinelli, though, had nothing to worry about when it came to the checkered flag, taking the win from Philippe Barron and Dario Carzo in the first race across the Ferrari Racing Days weekend. Podium is next. And going to be a very, very interesting podium and some interesting podium discussions as well with Claire Fennell. Looking forward to having a chat with Dario Carzo. That is going to be entertaining. Right, Mancinelli the winner, then Barron P2, Carzo P3. And there we can see the podium. Mancinelli, of course, getting effectively double bubble on the podium because he wins not only the race, but also the Coppa Giovanni trophy for being the young driver. First young driver across the line as well. Philippe Barron was his challenger in that. So Daniel Mancinelli heads up to the top step of the podium. Then it will be Philippe Barron. Here's Philippe right now. And the ever-smiling Dario Carzo. Philippe doesn't look very happy up there. National anthem. Well, you can tell in the body language from Philippe Barron there, he's not altogether happy with P2 on the podium. Probably thinks that the win was his, but for that drive-through penalty, but there we are. And trophy presentations there being made by Stefan Müller, the head of Ferrari Central Europe. Interesting to note, as Nico just pointed out to me, that despite the penalties that are dished out, the best drivers still make it to the front of the pack. Dario Carzo takes his P3. And of course the Moto Piacenza team take a trophy as well. There's the CDP team that support and motivate Dario Carzo, as Mancinelli again then gets the Coppa Giovanni trophy as well. Little fella, isn't he? Almost a straight line across the 3 steps of the podium there in terms of head height. And Pirelli trophy there as well. Being presented by Pirelli, of course. So they all move in for the photographs. The Octane 126 team that run Philippe Barron look on. And Philippe clearly can be an interesting interview with Claire Fennell, which will be coming up shortly. And, well, Barron refusing to take part in the bubbly celebrations. However, Dario Carzo with well aimed across the barriers. Mancinelli taking the win then from Barron, Carzo, D'Amato, Martin P5, Giannoni, Vezzoni, Diaz, Gallica, and Mann then rounding out the top 10 in the official result there, the classification. Of course, clienti.ferrari.com is the website for you to check out for all the information on the Ferrari Challenge and current points positions and all the information on the drivers as well. Lots of videos on there too. Ott, Pergel, Chukhanov, Strata, then the rest of the classification. Although Strata not classified, despite the fact that he was back out again. Of course, the laps that he did would not have been enough. So there we can see once again the paddock. And of course, the Clienti offices. Let's go to Claire Fennell right now on the podium.
And welcome to the podium, and we're here with the winner, Daniel Mancinelli. Daniel, fantastic race, great performance. But first of all, in Italian, tell us your thoughts on how it all went.
Very, bellissima gara. Sono partito appunto da sesta posizione per via delle penalità. Sono stato abbastanza attento in partenza perché quelli davanti insomma hanno fatto un po' di confusione Poi piano piano, visto che il mio ritmo era più veloce appunto di quelli avanti, li ho sorpassati, non facilmente, però con una bella bagarre, soprattutto con Caso in fondo rettilineo, che l'ho scartato in frenata e poi sono riuscito a passarlo in uscita. È stata una bellissima gara e una bellissima vittoria, visto che in qualifica purtroppo non sono riuscito a sfruttare bene le gomme e avevo un buon potenziale fin da ieri, però non sono riuscito bene a sfruttare le gomme e mi sono dovuto accontentare solo del secondo posto. Grazie.
And again in English, if you could just speak up a little.
Yeah, it was a great race, very hard because I was starting from sixth position. I saw that in the first corners the others in the front of me were a little bit confusion, so I stay very calm and I overtake them step by step, but not without difficult, because with Caso in the end of the straight was a very fantastic bagarre, very spectacular I think, and then I won the race because Baron was I think drive-through penalty, I suppose, for the for the starting procedure. Thank you.
Great. Now, just as the rain starts to fall, thank you, Daniel. We'll speak to Philip Barron, and not a very happy Philip. Drive-through penalty. Did you jump the start?
No, it was a complete wrong decision and it ruined my complete race. We were starting at that place and in the second lap I was first already. I had the fastest lap, I was far away across the track, and then they gave me a drive-through penalty where I fell down to fourth place, I guess, and in the end I finished second. I don't know why they punished me so hard. I mean, the lamp was green. Mancinelli didn't move in any place. He didn't take the gas, nothing. So I decided to start the race like it is in our reglement.
So you went from 8th to 2nd there in the first lap. Do you think that's possibly what alerted to them?
I don't know. Maybe, yes. Maybe I'm too good for this challenge, or I don't know. Or other people are more important than me. I don't know. But
okay, Philip, thank you very much. We'll go quickly to Dario, who's just going to speak to us Italian before we get really wet. Dario, tell us your race.
Beh, all'inizio è andata veramente bene, sono partito bene, tranquillo, c'era Baron che era imprendibile, complimenti, molto bravo. Poi dopo la metà gara è crollato tutto, freni, macchina, gomme, non riuscivo più a guidare, peccato, però comunque è andata così, loro sono stati bravissimi e molto probabilmente sarebbero riusciti a vincere lo stesso. Però c'è la seconda gara e metteremo a posto tutto. Grazie.
Grazie mille. Okay, and that's all from the podium as the rain starts to fall.
Oh, Claire, it's raining upon you. Well, Dario Casa, let me give you a very brief translation of what Dario said. Basically, he thought his start was very good, but problem in the car, put his trust in the second race. Something like that, anyway. Sergei Chuganov now leads the championship from Daniel Mancinelli by only 2 points. Dario Carso is P3 in the points. Alex Martin up to P4. That is the points situation as the rain begins to come down here at Hockenheim. And interesting what Philippe Baron had to say. I'd like to see a replay of that start all over again, really. But there we are. Clearly very, very unhappy with the situation. But, well, Chuganov leads the championship and maintains his lead, but now by only 2 points. I think he will think that he's done very well with that, really, to still maintain a 2-point lead in the championship despite a non-finish for Sergei Chuganov. Hopefully the hard-working Team Ukraine team will get that car back together for race 2 tomorrow. Here are some of the highlights from that race. Don't forget to join us for TropheoPirelli Race 2 tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.